Ndewo. This is a book chat between Vivian Uwakwe and myself. Vivian is a children's book author. But before we start the book chat, I would like to apologize in advance for the poor quality of the video on my own side. This is because of bad internet connection as at the time of the call. And now for the book chat.
Ndewonu. This is me again, Yvonne, back with a book chat with a very interesting author who I happen to know from way back in our university days. Here with me today is Vivian. Vivian, can you introduce yourself for us, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian Uwakwe. I'm a children's book author and also an illustrator. Would you want me to more?
Go on. Why are we here today?
We are here because I recently published a children's book, How the Tortoise Broke Its Shell, an African folktale, made a bestseller on Amazon within the African folktale category. Yay, thank you.
Yay, no easy feat. And is that your first venture into international publishing?
Funny enough, no. And most of the time it was a station. Okay, I started off actually with a children's book called Gizo the Cunning Spider. And it was actually an offshoot of an African folktale we all do, which is why the spider lives in a web. And it wasn't a commercial success on Amazon. To be very frank with you, I sold 2 Kindle e-copies only. I took it off the shelf. I needed something more. I knew that book could be a bit more, but I didn't know what was missing. I have gone on to publish a lot of Afrocentric stationaries, journals, and the works. They're all there from my author's page. I don't know if you want me to go on at this. I had the opportunity to do a course, and that was what made me redo everything. And this time it just came out perfectly well.
Fantastic, because it's always good to refine your craft. I mean, the second you stop learning is the second you die. So the more we go on in life, that's where we are today. And congrats again for hitting bestseller status. And so I would like to ask you, what made you choose this particular folktale?
Okay, for me, like you said, we go way back, and I think something that made us both click is authenticity. I always admire the originality with you. Moving on in life, your work with Igbo, promoting Igbo, and I thought that we were rescinded to the background as Africans. Why shouldn't we export Africa to the world? Why were we all as children, and now our children, growing up knowing the classics, the Cinderellas, the Rapunzels, the Robin Hood stories, the Pocahontas, which is even a Native American story? What is wrong with our stories as Africans? What exactly was wrong with it? And that was what propelled me. I did mention my father was a fantastic storyteller. If he could hold you spellbound, whatever your age was. And, even in his last years, I used to watch him with my nieces and nephews when he told them stories, or he could bribe them with stories. Those children that wouldn't eat would eat if they knew grandpa was going to tell a story. So I needed to get that in a book. And then when I did my author work class, I noticed that people who weren't Africans were very interested to hear these stories. It was amazing. And then I did a research on Amazon, which was part of the coursework anyway. And I discovered our stories weren't really there. And when they were there, they weren't well illustrated. The other stories from other nations got the best of illustration. Nobody was putting in the work to do this illustration. And I said, oh, well, this is where I really love to volunteer myself, so to say.
So it's very much, apart from, the career you've chosen, it's also, this particular one is also a very, big passion project for you, because it's tied to your memory of your dad, and, you know, stories you had growing up as well. And I have to say, when I was reading it, it did take me back to my childhood, because in my own case, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So I heard that particular story from my grandfather. So it took me back as well. And you know, I particularly loved the modern elements you put into it. Because when I started reading it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I love this story. You know, it took me back, nostalgia and all that. But then I started noticing the modern twist. And I'm like, okay, hang on, this is nice. You know, and I have to say, it's quite a refreshing twist to the story. So how important was it for you to represent, I know you've answered it in general terms, but how important was it for you to represent your, you know, your Igbo culture in this story?
Oh, you know, I remember years back when I grew up in the north of Nigeria. I'm a Kaduna girl, up to 17 years old. And when I started uni, which was where we met, till I left uni, they used to refer to me as that Hausa girl. But the thing is that I don't even speak Hausa fluently. On a scale of 1:10, I think I speak Hausa on a 3. And it was either English or Igbo, and it wasn't Igbo, it was our dialect. I'm from Imo State, a place called Omaka. So it was our dialect at home, totally our dialect. So when I would speak Igbo, they would now call me, oh, we're a woman. Of course, people will, it's just, she's from Igbo, you know, and all. It was very, very important to me. My thoughts are translated in Igbo. Sometimes when I want to get clarity, I have to say to myself in my own mother tongue to be able to make a clear head out of it. So it was very, very important. Of course, we know the main character is Mbe, which is our literal name for tortoise. The thing about it is that I wanted people to, children all over the world to unconsciously grasp 1 or 2 African names, even in the food. The first editor who reviewed the food thought that probably I shouldn't say fufu. I should say cassava flour, you know, make those names things English people could resonate with.
Yeah.
And the second editor did the same, but I put my foot down because it's not all edits I wanted to accept. Igbo culture was going to be 2 major characters, Mbe and Ugo, were Igbo. And then the other ones were also from other tribes. Angulu, the vulture, is a Hausa for vulture. And then Awodi is hawk in Yoruba. So
yes, I did wonder what the names for vulture and which one was Shaho.
So that is also hawk. Sorry, Awodi is the falcon. The hawk is Shaho. And yeah, that's Hausa for hawk.
Yeah, I did. When I was reading, of course, obviously, I could relate to the Igbo names, but it was the other ones I wasn't quite sure, and that's why I said I'll ask you. So I love the way you infused you know, kind of Igbo name into it, obviously, because I'm into languages and all that. But now that you've explained, you know, what the other names meant, is actually made it a lot more richer, you know, kind of you know, cultural appreciation on another level, you know. So did we talk about where you live?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So Vivian lives in Nigeria, and with its peculiar challenges for authors. I have my own, you know, battle scars a mile long from publishing in Nigeria. So, but I wanted to ask you, what initial challenges did you have publishing in Nigeria? Because a lot of people don't really understand what it means, what major achievement it is to start a book, you know, have, you know, think of writing a book and then seeing it all through to the end.
Yes, very good question. And why your question makes me nod my head so hard is when you said initial challenges, because I tell you there are challenges every step of the way in the book. My initial challenges, getting my manuscript. Well, let's even rewind. This is self-publishing. I wasn't publishing it through a traditional publisher, but I needed some sort of approval. So I knew I was going to do African stories, but getting a world-renowned editor, Bobby Hinman, to go through my book as part of the author work group I went and approve that story, it was the fuel I needed. And then the initial things. When people do not well, I mean, it's like every other Nigerian I meet has a book idea they want to get out. But the world has moved on. It's no longer about pen and paper. Yes, you could do pen and paper, but I tell you, at some point, if you are not going to do it digitally, somebody will have to do it for you. And that means hiring somebody to complete the process for you. Now, the first thing, when I started working on because for me, editing didn't really take time, but then I had to do the illustrations, which is normally the most part of the book. Power was an issue. Right now I'm talking to you, I'm on solar. The solar I installed in my home.
And for people who don't understand what she means by power, she literally means electricity. So power cuts are part and parcel of everyday Nigerian life. So for creatives, even, I mean, a lot of people in the Western world take it for granted, but can you imagine when you have a creative spark and you jump up to write or draw or something, and then in the middle of it, the power goes, the light goes. So if that's not a creativity killer, I don't know what that is. So continue, sorry.
Yes, and that power, we pay rent annually in this part of the world. Whoever is what the viewers are watching from, if they pay rent weekly or monthly and they times it by 12, times whatever your rent is by 2 or 3, that's about how much it cost me to install a permanent solar system in my house for me within my own currency. The data, getting access to data to chat other people, collaborate with other, or just ask questions and get clarifications. But let me tell you one other headache I had to do with the bureaucracy in Nigeria. For you, you've published several times. You do know that to get an ISBN is a click of a button. In Nigeria, there's so much surrounding getting ISBNs. One, you have to live in a city where there's a library before you, and there are cities in Nigeria that don't have a library. So if you live in one of those cities, you are going to have to travel to a city that doesn't have a library. Well, I was fortunate, but even at the time, I finally discovered the library in Port Harcourt, because for the initial publishing I did, I had to liaise with somebody in Abuja. By the time I discovered the library in Port Harcourt, guess what? They were on strike. Which country does the library go on strike? And it wasn't like a one-day strike. It wasn't a one-week strike. And that delayed me. Yes. There was so much going on. Finally, I got the ISBNs, but as a debut publisher, you are restricted to just one ISBN. Check it. Yes. Check this out. I need my storybook, the activity book, the audio book, the ebook, and I've forgotten whatever. Then I need 5 translations of each of those ones. So I really needed like 10. I actually needed more because my book is going to be translated in French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So I should actually be getting 20. The restrictions are so bad that even after pleading, and I managed to get the first set of ISBNs on compassionate grounds, I am required by mandate to deliver a certain number of copies it might be 3 or 5 copies of each book back to the library before I can get another set of books.
Wow.
So another set of ISBNs. So it's such a complicated process. I met, don't get me wrong, I met absolutely very beautiful people in the library. I've not gone to a government institution with staff that are that nice in Nigeria. But the bureaucracy surrounding it makes things very tedious. Now they say they do all those things to avoid like piracy and everything. But because of those strict measures, there's an underground market, a huge underground market for ISBNs in Nigeria. So you could get really ripped off with ISBNs. They are trying to balance it, which I understand, but making people not get, because, you know, I had 2 or 3 people offer me, why are you going through that stress? Let's just get someone to get it for you. Even if you wanted 200 ISBNs, they will get it for you. So that so many things, so many peculiarities with living in this country.
So can I ask you, what if you use an ISBN from another country?
It wouldn't mean a thing, but I think it's very funny. I just have this level of patriotism, regardless of what goes on in this country. And actually, if you even look at pricing internationally, our ISBNs are very affordable because they reflect the would I say the living wage right here.
Yeah.
So the average person could just comfortably purchase it.
Okay. Because my story we published in Nigeria, I went through a publisher, but that's a story for another day. So because I went through a publisher, I wasn't quite sure what they did to get an ISBN.
I would.
So
Nigeria too. You know.
Sorry,
you want
could you
to
repeat
know
that
why?
again?
Yes, I won't dare. Even if I go through well, you said you went through a publisher, fine. But my problem will be that if things go awry, it will just mean that you don't know the source, and then your publication could become theirs by proxy. You wouldn't have.
So that's a whole new dimension that I hadn't thought about. Actually, in my own case, because abroad here I self-publish because no publisher found my Igbo books you know, lucrative enough. They didn't think it was lucrative enough. So after going from publisher to publisher, I decided to self-publish. And just like you, it went on bestseller as well. My first one went on bestseller. And, you know, and thank God for these avenues. But going back to what I'm talking about now, it's interesting you bring up this idea, this aspect of ISBNs in Nigeria. I'm not even knowing whether I'm a publisher has, you know, got it from legitimate means. Because this publisher, without going into the stories of how they publish a certain amount and tell you, oh, they've published this amount, this same publisher was told to stop publishing my books about 6 years ago. And 2 weeks ago, while I was in Nigeria, a little boy walked up to me and said, oh, we use your books in our school. And I'm like, really? And that's not an isolated incident. People email me and said, oh, I bought your book last month. I want more copies.
I haven't even heard this when I said it. I know I had worked on he's late now. God bless his soul. The first client who told me after publishing my very first children's book, with the one I said wasn't a commercial success, I had a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, ask me to help him publish his book. And because I know what it means to have rights to someone's ISBNs, I applied for the ISBN on his behalf, but it was in his name and I forwarded the letter. So he owns, that's what that publisher would have done for you.
Yeah. So, but that's fine. The only thing, I mean, of course, it's annoying when you know people are making money off you. But I've heard more horror stories, and you know, like I told you when we were on the phone, someone said, oh, that he got his book got approved for schools, and only for him to find out that the sales weren't going, and then he now made inquiries and found in one city in the east, one particular town had 4 separate people that were, you know, selling pirated copies.
I remember that story.
One of them was a 78-year-old man. But anyway, we'll just leave that there for now. But I also wanted to ask you, did you have in your course, did you have other Nigerians, you know, the course you just talked about, did you have other Nigerians in the course with you?
No, absolutely not. I
So
was
you
the
were
only
the Lone Ranger.
I was the only African. Every other person was. I think largely about 80% of them were Americans, and maybe 20 spread across Europe. I was there an Aussie there. Not too sure if there was one Australian, you know, but I could remember European. That I was just that lone person from one corner of the world called
And of
Nigeria.
course, they had no clue what you were going through.
Oh, absolutely not. At a stage when I missed a couple of classes, I had to have a one-on-one Zoom session with the course coordinator. And I explained myself, and I was very teary. And she actually even became teary towards the end of it. And I said, listen, I have lived in the UK, and now I'm in Nigeria. So I have an understanding of how you people view the world, but this is my reality here. And, you know, that was the height of the life being on crisis, on strike, for crisis, not even to the magnitude we have right now, but it was really hot. Everywhere was just in chaos. And when I explained to her, you know, she just said, no, I'm here with you, you know, take it easy. And she realized, she actually confessed that people in that part of the world have no clue how blessed they are.
They take things for granted, and you know, and that's again what makes it all the world. People that understand what you've been through now understand the fight you've gone through to get this thing out there properly, because it's not just publishing, it's publishing properly. So I know in your website that there are other ones you've mentioned, and other materials, learning materials you create. Could you talk more about them, please?
Yes, there are 2 other folktales coming soon. I just want to complete, once the paperback of How the Tortoise Broke Its Shell is released, the next one will be out. I'm not going to spill. It's something to do with a lizard. so for the curious minds, they know where to go and search. It's an interesting one. It's not even an African folktale per se, but I got the idea when researching How the Tortoise Broke the Shell with children, because children are my clients. I hold these sessions where I get children, different parts of the world, read the stories with them, have them critique with their unfiltered mind.
It's very important. I'm having them as because they're the main stakeholder. So the focus groups are so important. Yeah, because I remember when we did the Equiano film, we had to show it to different children from different backgrounds. And for them to say, oh, you know what, that scene is too scary. That scene is too graphic. Oh, we love that one. And we were just recording everything, and you know, it helped a lot to get it to where it was by the time we released it.
Yes, that was a secret I learned from my course. I never thought to double check with kids at all. So in the course of these focus groups with children on How the Tortoise Broke Its Shell, the idea for how that book, the next book came. Yes, on my website, there are other things. There are, like I said, largely journals, some art. But when it comes to book, the children's book niche is something I think if passion could be scaled on 1:10 for a children's book, I think I'm only 15. My passion is that high.
I totally understand where you're coming from. And incidentally, based on the books I've done, especially my dictionary, I noticed that actually more adults buy it for themselves than for their kids.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
It's unbelievable the feedback I've gotten. You know, if you see, even on Amazon, when you read the reviews, there's a word that keeps popping up, or you know, it could be coined in different ways, but that word is nostalgia. People, it makes the adults, particularly the average African adult, think about their childhood. It just brings them back to that place where they were like 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. You know, so
nostalgia is huge. Nostalgia is huge.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Someone dismissed.
And so, you know, when we're talking about, sorry, go on.
Oh, don't know. I was just about to say, somebody dismissed me. I was like, oh, my children are like, I think her last kid is about 16 or 18. But, you know, when the ebook was out, she said, okay, send me the link, I'll download. And she was real. It reminds me of those days when we used to go to the village and my grandma told me the stories. So I get it.
Yeah. So when you were talking about the ISBNs, you mentioned other versions of the book. Could you expand more on them? Because we live in a world where we have to, you know, it helps to make it as accessible as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at Africa, African countries are either Francophonian or Anglophonian, like us here. And my question is, why make a book for Africa and then half of Africa can't read the book or can't appreciate the book? So it's like, if I'm going to make African folktales, the Francophonians are going to have their own copy of that book, that version, to also appreciate it. And research opened me to the fact that How the Tortoise Broke Its Shell is actually a story told largely in West Africa. I believe there are other parts of Africa that might even have a spin-off of the story. Everybody has their own spin-off. And within those countries, say you go to Ghana, there might be about 4 different parts, spin-offs of it. And then, you know, another feedback I do get is when people say your own take on the story. So everybody has heard their version, but when they hear this one, it's like a different spin on it. So that is it. Now, let's move up to, say, North America or America, so North and South. Spanish is half of the language spoken on that continent. And that was why I thought we should also have it in Spanish. So if you're purchasing from Amazon.com or even Amazon in Brazil, in any part of Southern America, you could just have your own copy and appreciate it. It is still part of this larger strategy of exporting Africa to the world. Then let's look at Portuguese, who actually are the people who speak Portuguese. You know, largely, let's look at it. When you trace their heritage, somehow, Africans also come in and some parts of Africa. So that is it. I just want to have it in as many languages as possible. And we're working really on it. The French version, I wanted to actually release English and French together, but I think French will actually be an early Christmas present.
Well done. And the fact that you've done it ebook, paper book, and the audio one as well. So that helps a lot for children with or anyone with challenges who can't read for some reason. They can hear it. Exactly. And it also makes very good this thing for maybe road trips. You'll be playing in the background.
Yes, yeah, that was actually, yes.
So are there any authors or any storytellers apart from your dad that have inspired your own journey as a writer?
I would say the storytellers I met during my author work group. it was so beautiful finishing that course and coming out with an alumni. And somehow I benchmark my progress against the alumni, while not putting pressure on myself, knowing my environmental challenges. These are women, and they were largely women. There were men there, but I see largely women who have been successful in, like, they were career women at one point who just left it all to embrace children's book publishing. And when you see a level of success and a level of discipline, like the course coordinator herself had a project management background within tech, and she's highly disciplined. I've not met anyone like her. And, you know, when you see people who were really, really successful in their careers before embracing children's book publishing, you pay attention. So I've learned to pay attention to their stories. I've learned to download their books, because once it's book launch, you know, a free copy could be available for you before the actual launch. So I've learned to embrace myself in their stories. Yes, their stories are nothing like the stories I'm telling, but you know, you learn a lot about structure. You learn about the grammar a child between, say, 4 to 8 could tolerate. You learn a lot about what even not to say, and say only with pictures and illustrations. Where to put pauses, where you need pauses, what colors to use, you know. If it's a sad scene, you know what to put there, because like I was just like 1% of the people who were illustrators in the class. So they are my biggest inspiration. And another thing is, you know, when you are just starting this journey and then you meet somebody, oh, I'm publishing my 21st book now. Oh, I'm publishing my 12th book now. You know, there's something it just does to you. There's a fire that is set to you to keep running. So that's it.
You're right. And I have to say, you have also lit a fire in me, because I have a digital cupboard full of half-written books. Because I have reader books, I have decodable books. And I like what you said about, you know, knowing which language to use for each age range. And knowing what pictures, so that you use as less words as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've really inspired me, you know, to say, hang on, you have this pile of things, and you don't even have the kind of challenges she has, and you haven't finished. You know. So thank you very much. So now, are you going to read some of it for us? Maybe one page. Or you want me to read it?
I think do me the honors, honey. Please do me the honors.
Okay. I'll choose what to read now.
Okay.
Just it's a tiny, a sample, so that people now go out and the tortoise wanted to find out how the birds got food to eat. Off he went to is it Angulu?
Just pronounce it how you
Angulu. Angulu, the vulture's house.
Great.
So the Angulu again, is it Hausa or Yoruba?
Yes, it's Hausa for vulture. And let me give you a tip. I know we're in the middle of the book read now. Let me give you a tip. For any name you see there, Google it. It's all on
I will
Google.
Google it.
It's all on
I'll
Google.
Google it. Yeah. As they say, Google is your friend. I always say Google is your friend, and then I forget for myself.
Yes, I'm so happy how
I'll
Google
continue.
involved to embrace our languages. It will help any reader of this book to grasp a lot. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that helps a lot. So the vulture gave the tortoise a big bowl of food to eat. And then the tortoise asked him a question. Angulu, my good friend, what is the secret of the birds, and how do they get food to eat? I'm going to stop here. So that's just a taster. A taster, so people can, you know, go and get the book, and it's really interesting. You know, and as we said before, it takes me back to my childhood as well. Yeah.
Good.
And it's quite special because 2 weeks ago today, we just laid my grandmother to rest, and a lot of my childhood was based living with her as well. So this book also takes me back to those, those times.
God bless
So
her.
so what's next with this like the book? Are you going to do a book tour, or either virtual or physical, or
Okay.
are you going to go to schools and
locally? Yes.
So you have book tours.
In
Okay.
here, we've had a book launch, very successful, and it opened me to know that there are book clubs existing in this city. Serious book clubs.
Oh, really?
Yes. Where people they have a book of the month, they read, they have their Zoom meetings, they access. And then some of the book club owners want to open book club for kids. But remember that for children, everything you do, you also have to consider the school year. So because this book is for kids, the book tours will be scheduled towards the end of the year. We're almost approaching that anyway. When schools are almost, organizing end of year parties, when academics have. So those are when it's going to. But we're working with private schools, and we are throwing the opportunity open to anybody who wants it. I would like to see, because in our country we do numbers. So I would like to see where you have book reads of nothing less than 100 kids in a sit out, and then I do the book read. Every kid goes home with their copy too, courtesy of their parents.
It gives me Tales by Moonlight vibes.
Yes.
I wonder where those videos are now, the Tales by Moonlight.
NTA archives. If they're serious.
If there are any archives at all.
There are from my own investigations, but the thing is, they are in formats that are so archaic, nobody wants to deal with them.
Yeah.
It's on the BBC, no matter how archaic, the more archaic it is, the more interesting, and the more the government is willing to fund the restoration of the things.
The restoration and then reenactment of those kind of programs as well. So before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to add that we haven't touched on?
It's hard to think about anything.
So, or if people want to get get the book, where can they get the your book and more information about what you do? Because you're not just an author, you're also an illustrator.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do we get the book? Okay. So what's your web address?
My website is my name and surname, vivianuwakwe.com. If you go to /shop,
we're going to put it on the screen as well.
Okay, thank you. If you go to /shop, you could scroll down the products there and you get the book. The other thing is you could also go to vivianuwakwe.com /tortoise story, one word, and you will get the book as well. We had a challenge in Nigeria, which is part of those challenges we're talking about. At every stage of the book, there's always a bottleneck. And we thought we were going to list on Jumia, because when I used to live in Lagos, it was just list on Jumia, and any time a person orders, you could just walk over to their depot and drop it there, their fulfillment centers, only to get a rude shock 1 week after the Nigerian book launch, that Jumia operates only in Lagos, not in Port Harcourt. So we're making arrangements, but from my website, you can do pickup for now, and then wholesale orders for now. But the retail will be out soon. The product launch will be out very, very soon, very shortly. For international listeners who form a major part of your audience, Amazon paperback is out tomorrow.
the Nigerian information, I'll make sure I'll put it in the description so that people know exactly how to order. But for people in the diaspora, you can get it on Amazon, which is so convenient wherever you are in the world. That's where I got mine, the ebook. I'll still get the paper, the paperback of it when it comes out. And then I can't wait to get you to actually sign on it, because I have this thing for autographs.
That's the advantage Nigerians have. And they have one other advantage. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. The Nigerian print of the book has better quality than the Amazon print. I have run a printing company for about 6-7 years, so we we pulled all the stops. We pulled all the stops.
That is quite refreshing. Yeah. That is very, very refreshing. No, I know that the Amazon one isn't necessarily the best in print.
Usually.
But it's fantastic for distribution.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Just to get it out. Exactly.
Right. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and have a book chat with us at Learn Igbo channel. Before we end, I would just like to ask you, the viewer, a lot of what I do is inspired by how many people subscribe to my channel. So I want to make a special appeal for you to just click the subscribe and a like button, because subscribing to my channel encourages me to even create more content. And so thank you so much, Vivian. And this is the first of many more books to come. And again, I want to say congrats for, pulling off this feat, and then, holding on and working so hard on, because you really worked hard on this. And it takes a lot to get to where you are now with the book. So congrats, and goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.